Hi, I'm Joyce Stech, and welcome to the Joyce Stech podcast. Let's talk beyond the surface. Hey, what are we going to be talking about today? Ho ho! Sin, sacrifice, and surface. Woo! Okay, are you ready for that one? It's going to be a winner. All right, look forward to going forward. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Let's Talk. I'm Joyce Stech, and today, woo, sin, sacrifice, and service. This is going to be good. Get your comments in now. Okay, so that being said, if episode 1 really cracked open the truth about debt, this one is about the hidden emotional economies we call virtue. Yeah, the systems that teach us to be good and we must suffer. And today we're going to unravel the ancient three-headed illusion of sin, sacrifice, and service. So please, I want to tell you right up front, this is not religion bashing. Not at all. It's energy decoding. It's us to be able to look at things. So please do not take this the wrong way, because that is not what it is about. Trust me. And by the end, you're going to see how much power you actually leak every time you mistake obligation for devotion. Whew, and take a breath here. So let's reframe some of the myths that you might have around this, okay? First of all, sin is the belief that existence itself owes an apology. Existence itself, right? It owes an apology. Like, how many times have you said that? Like, I should never been born. Like, I was born, so I owe this stuff. That kind of thing. Sacrifice is the performance meant to earn forgiveness for simply being. It's about performance. And by performing, if we do things correctly, if we do the right things, then we'll get forgiveness just for simply being who you are. I have to forgive myself because I find laughter and humor in things. You get it? Simply being who you are. And then service is the distortion that love must always cost something. Wow, that's called conditional love, isn't it? If you do this to me, I'll love you. Wow. And then we put it somewhere distorting that. It's like, well, that's giving service to the person so that if I service them correctly, they'll love me. Whoa. So let's think about some of these things, where they come from, to get more like, talk more home to me. Okay, how about generational martyrdom? That sounds like great in a word, but what does it say? My mom's worth was measured by exhaustion. How many of you have grown up? I come from a very northern European background. Okay, both my family ancestors, my grandparents on both ends, grandfather and grandmother, came from Poland. They came from Poland, all of them. Okay, so I'm second generation. Actually, the first generation were my parents, right? My father only spoke Polish till third grade. All right, so you get the idea here. All right, very Northern European kind of thing going on. And if you have the backgrounds, and I'm not talking again cultural, I'm not bashing it. I'm just saying let's look at this like it comes with the package here. It's a cultural energetic, guys. That if you sat on the couch, I don't know about you, but in our family, if you sat on that couch and just said you wanted to relax, there was something wrong with you. What would they call you? You're kind of a bag of shit, right? Like, you're useless. What kind of person are you? You're lazy, good for nothing, because you just want to take 5 minutes out and sit or take Sunday off. Okay, there was a movie I just watched. What was it about? My father. If you've never seen that movie, I love De Niro. So, of course, he's a New York kind of guy, right? I mean, our New Yorkers stick together. But De Niro is in this movie where the kid is saying in the very beginning, like, this was my father. Like, if you sat for 2 seconds, there was something wrong. As soon as you woke up, you're either washing the car or washing dishes or cleaning the house. But it was like, it was measured by exhausted. You have to be exhausted. If you weren't exhausted by the end of the day, you were kind of a lump of crap. All right. So if you came from that, or if you live in that, or are you projecting that to your kids? Because if you came from, it's like, come on, everybody, what are we doing now? What are we doing now? What are we doing now? How about if we're not doing anything? Could we just sit on our butts and just, like, chill? Yeah, there's something wrong with that? You're lazy if you do that. How many of you have this kind of construct in your background? It's crazy stuff, but how many of us have that? Well, more than I want to say. How about healers? This is a good one. Healers. I work a lot with healers and very high level spiritual people who are wonderful, but they overgive. They overgive until they freaking collapse. You can't give anymore. Like, let me give you some more. Like, they need more than that. Okay. I'm guilty of all these, by the way. Anything I'm saying, I don't learn from a book, guys. I learn from experience, from having done this more than one time or trying to how to overcome it. That's why I can help you overcome stuff. Why? Because I've overcome a lot of these things. Maybe not overcome, but at least I see them. At least I make choices about them. So they're not running my life. I have a choice if I want to continue this or not. Healers who overgive until they freaking collapse. You cannot give enough because it's generous and I'm here for service. Wow, we're gonna explore a little bit of that, okay? Entrepreneurs, okay, oh, who feel guilty. I'm guilty for charging a fair value. A fair value. Am I guilty of that one? Yeah, sure. Because I want everybody. I'm here for service and I'm here to give everything and I want everybody to have opportunities. You know? I mean, it's crazy stuff. But how many feel guilty for charging a fair value? What is your worth? I mean, this has so many other implications in it. But this causes emotional debt in yourself. It causes debt, DEBT. And if it causes emotional debt in you, it is going to show up physically in your checkbook sooner or later, in your savings. It really is. Trust me on that one. So sin tells you you're broken. Sin tells you you're broken and you need to be fixed. By who? You know what I mean? Sin tells you you're broken. Sacrifice tells you to bleed yourself, to prove yourself. You have to bleed to prove who you are. And true service says, I pour from overflow, from not obligation. I pour from overflow, not obligation, right? So, who feels this? What kind of people, like what kind of archetypes are here? Well, first we have the archetype of the caretaker, right? Believes that love equals depletion. The more I give of myself, the more I sacrifice myself, the more that shows that I love you. So we have love that equals depletion. We have the teacher healer that confuses self-abandonment with humility. You see, I just keep giving and giving and giving, and I don't even think about myself because that's being humble. That is not what humility is or being humble. These are for teacher healers, okay? So you don't self-abandon yourself. In fact, you have to have sovereignty to teach sovereignty. Because whatever you have, if you're a teacher or a healer, guess what? That's what you share with others. So do you want to share self-abandonment with them or self-care? And understanding that you have to be 100% you to give 100% of yourself. And that, my friend, is being humble. The parent or the partner, we're suffering like a badge of loyalty. Like, I'm your parent, so I will suffer for you because I'm your parent. Or are you like the partner? The partner also is like, I'm your partner, so I have to suffer with you because that shows that I'm loyal to you. Does that mean I can't speak my mind? Does that mean I can't speak about boundaries? It means I can't hold my boundaries. How about the professional performer? The professional performer who trades their authenticity, their true self for approval. Well, we don't even want to go there, do we? How many people, I call this selling out. How many people, well, they sell out for money. And how many people hold their own power? So they don't trade their authenticity, who they really are, for approval. I was watching the one of the last thing. Oh, this could be a spoiler if you watch The Hack, right? So where Deborah Vance actually gives up the show because they want her to fire her head writer, and she looked for this job her entire life, but she gave that up to be true to herself and her own values and principles. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. So you're not here, my friends, to pay off your existence. Like you got to pay for being born, you know? You're not here to pay off your existence. You're here to live it out loud. Yeah, live it out loud. Be you unapologetically. I call it the unapologetic self. And not because you're like an a-hole, not because you're ego pushed. It's because when you understand who you are and what gifts you have in your own mastery, you become extremely humble. You cannot believe that you were giving that because it comes with responsibility, a huge responsibility. Okay, so breathe through this. I'm on a roll right now. So I would like to place your hand on your heart if you feel it and just say, I release the vow that my goodness requires my pain. I release the vow that my goodness requires my pain. I am forgiven because I was never condemned. I am forgiven because I was never condemned. My service is sacred because I am alive. My service is sacred because I am alive. And I let love serve through me, not drain me. I let love serve through me, not drain me. And breathe. There's a lot of vibrational energy going in this that actually to help you blend courage and grace to restore your own dignity to service. So if you want, you can inhale permission to receive, exhale any penance you paid for this stuff, and just pause a little and let it resonate. Oh, wow. So inhale permission and exhale penance. Great. Let that resonate in your body. So you cannot serve the world by starving your soul. And you can't sacrifice your way to sovereignty. Because everything I mention is for you to think about. If something has tagged on you, like you make, whoa, and you said that, like, I don't know where I went, but it really, I started thinking about things or it triggered something in me. I wrote down where those triggers were. Write to me where those triggers were. I'd love to have you, I call them the Q&Is, man. Give me your questions, but give me your insights. Give me your stuff. Let's say, when you said that, what did you really mean by that? That's a question. Or when you said that, man, I remembered I couldn't watch, Saturday morning cartoons because my mother would say, we had to clean our room, so we had to do this because it was obligation. These are things I remember. My sister and I still to this day do not want to cook. I'm getting over it a little bit because I'm working on it. Because when I realized it, I saw my mother and I went through life and watched it. Everything that I viewed that I could remember was cooking, like having dinner, having people over, forget that, the holidays, was total obligation. There was no joy in it. I never saw her like I would know. It was always like I look at her face. I could see her face. I've never seen a happy face. And the only thing that brought this to my recognition, by the way, was my son's a chef. So one of my sons is a chef. He went to the Culinary Institute of New York. I say that because I'm really proud of him. He owns a restaurant, right? And I remember this Thanksgiving we had that he said, we'll host it. And he hosted this amazing thing. And people, we always wound up having people that didn't have somewhere to go. It started out with like 9 people, family and then wound up to 11 and then 13. But as they added people on at the last minute, they actually got more and more excited about this, where I was freaking out if I had to make a salad. All right. And I would get a pre-one done anyway. So you get it? My idea of Thanksgiving, we went to a restaurant. I made reservations for all you can eat buffet. You got it? So yeah, how weird is that? Really? right? Think about that. That's like crazy stuff. Anyway, that's the truth. So what triggers for you? And everything that I mentioned, these episodes, any courses, activations, rituals, or you always find one place under link tree Joyce Stech. And all this is under, I have a whole series called Debt Alchemy, an audio series, which covers, oh, wow, all this stuff. So pretty cool stuff. And that's your field guide to do the work in case you want more information. And please, I'm always open to receiving your questions and insights. This has been Joyce Stech for the Joyce Stech Podcast Show. Let's talk beyond the surface.